Go ahead, Mr. Hickey.
Yeah, he'll be there all night, no.
No, not tonight. Michael Hickey, 32 Bungalow Lane. Not too thrilled with this council at all. Most everybody knows me, and anybody that's seen me on the street, I've never had a bad word. When I walk in here, this is business. I knew this was political because the news lady called me on the phone before even I knew the police were gonna call me. Somebody couldn't wait to get to the newspaper. And that's fine, got freedom of speech. The officer that called me was a gentleman. What I said was nothing more than a metaphor. I'd have been in court in a heartbeat. Next time you want to come after me, file a report. I'm not afraid of the cops, nor the law. I own a First Amendment. And I'm tired of people using Sandy Hook as a reason to shut people down. Would you please leave those poor souls rest? There's no need to keep digging them up to use for political porn. That's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. Let them rest. They paid the higher price. Mr. Chairman, I see your friend is not here. I didn't know about the accusations that was told, but I learned real quick that night when I got a call from the police department. Let me refresh you what the law is. When you physically threaten to take somebody outside and beat them up, that is a Class D felony. Why did you not have McCarthy arrested? Why not? You knowingly knew he was there because Nancy knew that he went after Mr. Lewis. You're city councilman. I got a right to lose my temper. You're supposed to be in control. If I was sitting there, trust me, you wouldn't imagine what control I do have when I want it. So here you are, coming after me for a metaphor, which was nothing more than political payback, and that's not going to stop me. All that does is make me dig in deeper. I'm an Irishman. You push me, I push back. You push me, I push even back harder. I got what I wanted. The mayor says he's not going to raise the mill. Anybody notice their sewer tax? Mine went up $72. $72 this year, from $336 to $408. How many millions of dollars in new revenue is that into this town? They got snuck right past the people. I told you about selling tax liens, but these people were nothing but predators. The man upstairs must really love me, because Saturday, one of the properties in West Haven got sold, 55 Prospect. It was in the newspaper. The foreclosure person was American Tax Lien Company. Which means there was no mortgage on that house, because mortgages or banks have first lien priority. Nobody can foreclose without their permission or if they're absent, which means no foreclosure. Do you think they got back their profit for the little stinking $100 grand or something extra they paid for the tax liens? I'm curious and wonder how much that house went for. How many got sold that I don't know about? And your illustrious mayor, all you just need to go and ask him. My taxes were paid in full on May 8th, but my property made the list to be sold. I want to hear, well, they'll correct it later, because the finance director sat here 2 weeks ago and told you they usually have to cut a check back to the people because of liens that are on there that didn't belong there. Which means you destroy people's credit, because that goes into the credit file when it should have never been there in the first place. Right? Why don't you ask him, that's $1.6 million you sold in liens that you stamped, rubber stamped 2 weeks ago. But not one of you has asked about the $2.7 million that is still outstanding. And some of the properties on there are 2, 3, and 4 years in arrearage. Not the ones that you sold. The ones you sold, all right, now I find out that they had the courtesy to go and check and pick and choose. Now, I know that they'd love to have mine, because other than this 1 year that I was late and paid all the late fees and everything else, I always paid my taxes on time, usually the second week of July, in full for the year. And they love me for 18%. You sold me down the tubes to try to grab a stinking 18%. Well, I used $100 and something $1,000. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You didn't do your homework. How come? And trust me, I moved long before I ever came to this podium, because one thing that the building department taught me is, make sure you get all the paperwork before you open your mouth, Mike, because it seems to disappear. I already got all the information I wanted from the tax office before I ever came to this podium. I'm still doing my homework, because there's still a few more pieces of property out there. There's going to be a lot of explaining. That's why I wanted a forensic audit of the tax office. Here's another simple fact. I sold a Pontiac March 1st of this year. Turned in the plates, got a certified letter from motor vehicle that I turned to the assessor's office. Guess what's on the tax bill again? Now, my taxes for that Pontiac are paid all the way to June 30th. So it shouldn't be on this year's tax, but it is. So now I got to go down, take time off from my job, or if I get one, or my wife has to go down there and argue with the tax office again for something I handed them March 2nd. And all I had to do was take it, put it in the computer, and finish it. Excuse me. I have a sick mom. All right, so that's on there. My brother, no, call me back later. This is ridiculous. This is why I get upset when you don't do your homework. And yes, you are rubber stampers. I never called you thieves. I called the city a bunch of thieves, but I never called you personally thieves or liars. I'll call you back. My mother's very sick. She's on her deathbed. Neither here nor there. I'm here, and it's nice to have the little ones here. They're now they're going to learn that the First Amendment is the most important amendment. Freedom of speech and the right to say what you want. I might lose my temper, but if you had listened to me, you would have realized I had talked once before. I don't own a gun. I have never owned a gun. I have no use for a gun. My father fought 2 wars. Guns are made to do one thing. You can say you shoot all the targets in the world you want. Guns made to do one thing and one thing only, to kill. I have no use to kill anything. Trust me, I got more pets at home than you can imagine. All right? But I've had enough. When you start pulling stuff like this, and I'm getting a call from a police officer, and he knew that I would win in court, but he had to relay the message. You're wasting my officer's time. He's got more important things to do, like catch criminals, all right, and protect this city, than to worry about some people that thought thought politically they were threatened. To find out that Mr. McCarthy there is a threatener. And you knew it, Steve. But you went ahead anyways, and you just couldn't wait. It wasn't like there was a cop waiting to escort you out, so you couldn't have been that scared.
For the record, I wasn't afraid at all, Mr. Hickey.
Your name made the paper,
Yeah.
all right? But you also knew he physically threatens people. You should have backed it down and said, wait a minute, you're opening a can of worms. I don't want to hear the excuses. A man's got to be a man sooner or later. I don't want to hear excuses. I would not accept that from anybody. All right? I can hold my cool when I want to. But when I let it go, I can let it go. He had no problem shooting his mouth off in the newspaper, whatsoever. And whoever decided they were threatened. But I didn't see a police officer waiting to escort you people out of here or me. And in fact, it took them 3 days to get a hold of me, so nobody was too scared. This was political. But now you have no choice. You put yourself between a hard rock and a wall. Now I'm going to force the hand. I expect you and McCarthy to give your resignation immediately after this meeting. You're done. You do not have what it takes to be sitting in that chair. And neither does he. You got something to say to me? Tracy Morrissey and I went at it many a time. She drove down my street. Nothing but respect for her. I never take it out of this room. Never. But you start sticking the goon squad on me, you've overstepped your bounds. And now you have to pay a price for it. Not because you sent the police after me, for the simple fact you knew what that man was like and he physically committed a felony, felony, and you allowed it to happen and not a word was said. Not a word was said. That's being two-faced where I come from. And I'm not that way. And this is not a joke, Steve.
Oh, it's okay.
It's not a joke. Because if not, I will get the I will go out and get the people's signatures to get you off that bench. You're not fit to sit there any longer. Nah, I don't care. Anything else you've done I can live with. But when you cover up for a man like that, and if you hadn't said anything in the paper and your name hadn't come up, you'd have been cleared. But you did, knowing what that man did. It's not a joke any longer. When I come up here, I'm dead serious. I'm showing you, but you're not listening. I give you the facts, but you don't care. I don't choose and I don't come up here to lie. And anytime I open my mouth, I've got the information to back it up. I got it this time. I pleaded with you not to okay to lean on those sales. The sales on those liens. Boom, bang, done. No question that. But you didn't question about the 2.7 million. It's still sitting outstanding. You're going after me for something that was paid up, and the worst I would be was 6 months behind. 6 months. I got 2 lawyers and corporate counsel whose only job is to go after delinquent taxes. They can't send a notice, come to City Hall and sit down and make an arrangement. I was paying the 12%. I was paying whatever the percent. I paid the late charges, never even questioned it. Didn't you? I got one on here. I didn't even. Did you see me come and say, "Hey, I want that interest back. Could you give me that?" I didn't say a word because that's the price you pay when you're late. We're late. I paid the big, and I didn't say nothing. And then you pull stuff like this. This is not right. I expect you people are not the mayor. You represent each one of your districts and the people. You yelled and screamed at Nancy for letting me know 32 Bungalow Lane was on the lien sale. But that's public notice anyways. And told her, well, she should worry about her own district. But she sat right there and told you about the gentleman who died in her district. Anybody go up and see what's going on? Could it be in probate? Could be the wife and children are so upset they haven't been paying attention to business? No, sell a lien. They're just what they need. They lose their husband and their father, and so let's throw a little more gasoline on the fire. No respect, no conscience at all. Yet every one of you, if you take a look at there, got liens in your own districts. Some of them for 50 cents. Are you that desperate? I laugh when you people say, well, Mike, we can't micromanage the city. But you can micromanage the money. Squeeze them out of every dime you can get. $4, 50 cents, 75 cents I got one on for. What are you doing to us? You're going to ruin somebody's credit for less than $1? Is that how desperate this city is? And you're right. The people that you owed money to, we didn't hear no complaints about that. You didn't hear anything about when 2 vendors literally sued the city for their money. It's okay, you don't pay your bills, but God help us taxpayers if we can't pay ours. Two-faced. And that's what it is, you're two-faced. Not used personally. The city is. And the mayor doesn't come in here because he knows I'm right. I voted for him in 2005, and in 2 years' time he showed me exactly what I didn't want anymore. He said that this finances was his expertise. Well, he got me fooled. Now I know how he could afford the $5,000 raises and the brand new $88,000 jobs and 104,000 commissioners and everything else. He didn't raise my mill, he raised my sewer tax. Now my little shack got a $72 increase. There's only my wife and I there. And we're not home all day long. How much water could I possibly use? a new kind of hustle. And that's all it is a new kind of hustle. I'm gonna let this go, because these children wanna talk, and they got the right to, and it's about time we start teaching them about the Constitution of the United States and the freedom of speech. Don't ever try to take it away from me, because it's never gonna happen.